got to do, man. Don't want to get in my way. Like,
I mean, but here, like, Trenton is like so small that my car got towed last week, and I had to walk around to get it done. I walked back and forth in less than 15 minutes. Like, everything is basically right. You know what I mean? Like a nice road, like an area where you
probably knew the guy who told you about too.
Exactly. Because working at the police station, exactly. So like, yeah, being a poet in Brooklyn, I'm pretty sure you brought me to like a whole bunch of different varieties of artists.
Yes,
different types of, mind frames and different types of styles. Do you bring your style from like your style more like a New York style, or have you developed like a more type of Trenton style?
To me, in poetry, because you're speaking from your experience, I don't think that there necessarily is a style that's like derived from a like location or like a place where you're born, but more so what you experience and also what you learn. Like I said, like in my poetry, I write a lot about social issues. Just one aspect of that. That's what I learned, and also what I've experienced, what I've gone through. So that, like, when I write about, when I speak about mass incarceration, that is in no way locale only to Trenton or locale only to Brooklyn. You got, obviously in Trenton, you got the Trenton State Prison, but then you got Rikers in New York, feel me? Right, so it's like, so it's like.
And also, right counts, I'm saying, down the county jail.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's crazy because, like you said, like you go to the inner cities and you run into, because Philly got prisons, like a couple prisons in Philly as well. So every major city, got a prison or a prison close to it. And in the city that we located in the inner city. So just that whole mindset right there.
Absolutely.
Like, we gonna lock our niggas the fuck up.
We were talking about that earlier, like how with the new Jim Crow law, mass incarceration has become the new slavery. And I mean, it really opened my eyes, and I really realized that prisons are privatized businesses. Like they're not meant to just serve justice. They're meant for a profit. Like they charge inmates to make phone calls. They charge them for oodles and noodles. Like, I mean, it's really like if you go into jail, you're going to jail to serve your time, but you're also to serve a purpose for somebody else.
Even when you leave the jail, a lot of times people leave jail with debt from being in jail because of the living expenses in jail. Mind you, this is supposedly meant to rehabilitate you. And we talked about that earlier, even using the term rehabilitate. How can you rehabilitate that which was never in a habitable space in the first place? How can I fix what was broken in the first place? Children born in broken homes, so they act out because they don't have any guidance. They go in the jail system that's trying supposedly to fix them, but what can you fix if it's already broken from the beginning? You understand? Yeah. So, I think, like I was saying to you, a lot of the solution comes down to educating, the younger, and also, trying, in terms of the legal aspect, really pushing the change of legislation, excuse me. Laws that need to be like changed and need to be altered, because clearly it's not working to correct these behaviors that's getting these people to go into jail.
Right, because I know plenty of my friends, not just my friends, but family members as well. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, my uncle. He was a repeat offender constantly. You know what I'm saying? Because he found his religion, he's Muslim now. You know what I mean? So once he found it, but this is after being in and out of jail 15, almost 20 years of his life. You know what I mean? Because that shows the proof that there's no rehabilitation in prison.
No.
And at all.
See, what happens is that I was telling you the breakdown, if I could just try to step through real fast. But you had slavery, you were slaves, black people, slaves. Then you got the Civil War. So, all right, we're going to be free. You got all these free people now that don't have anything. Right. They were slaves. They didn't have no property, no money, no jobs, nothing. So what happens is that now they may start businesses, but they really started to build themselves, reconstruction.
Right.
Then now, because of them building themselves, getting into office, those who were the majority, the Caucasian people, found this to be an offense. You got these black people that's getting all this influence. Now my mayor is black and I'm white. So what did they do? They started an act what's called a Black Code. You can look all this up. It literally was a string of laws that were meant to actually, and not meant to, but it actually controlled freedmen, which were free black men that were at that time that had status, that ability. And what happened is that when they did that, now they were actually subjugated to those laws. Eventually, it evolved into Jim Crow laws when you get into the early 20th century. Then when Jim Crow laws go in, and you know what, all that is segregation, separate but equal, but really not. Because, you know what I mean, your water fountain looks sparkly clean. Mine is the same thing that the dog is lapping from. What happened is that you get the civil rights movement come in, and that kind of pretty much like goes up against that and quells and quashes that. But then that's the 60s going into the 70s. As you get into the late 70s into the 80s, what happens is that there's now this terminology of a war on crime. Now you got Ronald Reagan in office, and he's talking about tough on crime,
war on drugs.
At the same time, crack cocaine comes out, and the laws on crack cocaine are so much harsher than the laws on cocaine, and crack cocaine is the main drug in the black community. So what happens? All these black youth that are either getting hooked on crack, or they didn't have the ways of getting jobs, or they're getting these poor communities, so they trying to find the best way to make money, so they'll sell crack. And these laws now that weren't always this punitive on drugs are now super punitive on drugs. Now, i.e., all these black men are getting locked up now. All these black women are getting locked up now.
You see that how this issue goes on, because once these drugs started flooding other communities, the laws started changing again.
Yes.
Yes. They started pushing back on the penalties compared to
people escape. What's crazier than that is like all that stuff that happened in the 80s as far as the war on drugs and Ronald Reagan said.
At the same time, these motherfuckers bringing the shit in.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and you look like today, the movie Snow, like the TV show Snowfall.
I love that show.
How crack got introduced, like drugs got introduced and cocaine got introduced. And if you watch, what's the movie with Tom Cruise where he was flying in? Like they showed it in America. They were showing like the CIA was actually behind all of the drugs.
The one before that, the one what's the boy name that played the pirate movies? What's his name?
Oh yeah.
Blood. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For example, like those, like people understand. Like I watch movies for entertainment, but also I see the truth of certain movies.
They tell us the truth like 20 years later.
Exactly. So you gotta watch. These motherfuckers telling themselves, right?
Because nobody want to do that. They're like, we're gonna pay for the ticket to watch the movie. We're gonna say, oh yeah, that was deep, but they're really showing you that the whole war on drugs is a lie. Like we're gonna tell you that we want the drugs out of here, but we're gonna make billions of dollars bringing it in.
Exactly. Here's how it kind of comes to the point now when you have all these black men, right? And I'm just gonna use that because that's the main target group. Yes, there's a great target group of black women also. Because it's an effect. I mean, you take the men, then now the women fall, then the children. But here's what happens is that now you have this prison system that is full of all these able-bodied men. And what do? Of course, they actually supply these men as a labor force to all these Fortune 500 companies that are now getting labor for 4 cents an hour. Don't gotta pay workers' comp, don't gotta pay insurance, don't gotta pay any of these things that you would have had to have paid for somebody that's actually like, not locked up. So the point that I'm making is that it's slavery. It goes right back into slavery. What they did is that they have these laws now, and these laws are still laws that are very too punitive on drug offenses that are now causing a great mass incarceration. That's what it is, a massive amount of people being incarcerated, and really majority is black men and Latino men that are getting incarcerated, and they're being used as a primary workforce for all these like companies, and that is actually the new Jim Crow. That's the new string of law systems that even when you catch a felony, we were talking about this earlier, Justice, when you catch a felony and now you come back out and you're trying to you're trying to make it, now you got to check off that box on that we all seen on background check and the employment application that says that have you committed a felony within the last 7 years, within the last 10 years. And when the employer sees that, oh no, we don't want him. Only if he's back in the prison system, now we want him, because now he can cost 4 cents an hour. Free labor. Yeah. So the point of the matter is that it subjugates now is not going to go right back to doing the illegal activity and puts him back in the jail.
As black people, as people convicts in general had to start coming up with creative ways to find a job. Like myself, like I said, when I see that question on applications, I used to ignore it. I never answered it. So time for the interview, they asked me, or some people did, some people didn't. You know what I mean? Oh, you can answer this question. Oh, well, let me explain that to you. You know what I mean? I was young, I was 18. You know what I mean, at the time. So now them hearing it from my mouth instead of seeing it on paper.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, that's helpful.
Exactly.
People to know that because everybody doesn't know that. You know what I mean?
Like, so you don't have to answer that question. You don't have to answer that question.
Well, the crazy thing also is like with jail, it's kind of it all starts outside of jail. Like you were talking about, you do work with a lot of the youth.
Yes,
the
actually
youth
started today.
Yeah, like the youth that live in our communities, they live in poor conditions, and that really affects. Like I grew up really poor. But I didn't know it was really poor because that's what I was doing. Yeah. So like
my neighbor was poor.
Exactly. And we made it work. So growing up in that environment and then you go to jail, you've already learned how to live in a situation that was beyond poverty, below poverty. And that's the problem. Like a rich motherfucker go to jail, they're gonna want to hang themselves. Like I can't live like this. Like I mean, but a person that's been living like that since they've been 5, they're gonna be like, well, you know, I'm gonna survive. They're gonna look at it as a struggle.
Survival instinct that jumps in.
And that's kind of the problem. Like a lot of the kids in our neighborhood, they're so used to living below the poverty level that they don't living at the medium. Like having what regular kids have. They can't even. They'll think a kid getting a hot meal every day. 3 meals a day is kind of rich.
Because being poor, you got 3 meals a day.
Exactly.
So you go to jail. All right, look, I get a free shower, a free bed, I send 3 hots, and I go to the gym and work out, get big as hell.
And I know most of them.
And I know what was in here. Yeah, like half my neighborhood is locked up. You know what I'm saying? No, like I said, my uncles. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, it was crazy. So one time, the first time I got locked up, it's crazy stuff because I was on the same chair with 3 of my fucking uncles, like 2 of my cousins.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I was like, with the time, like, oh shit, it's dope.
But
now I think like, that shit's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like,
that's that pattern that the powers that be. It's affecting our community. It's been affecting our community. It affects our community. You know what I'm saying? And it's not something that like we want because that continues, which it has been continuing, then you'll remain on the bottom, total poor. You know what I'm saying? You remain poor. You know what I mean? If you don't see examples of people like you was talking about the program that I'm doing. I just started this program today. Now, the name of the program that I'm a chair of is called The Feed. The reason why it's called The Feed, and I have a Facebook site for it and everything. It's on there, just The Feed, and then OFNJ, OFNJ. So Feed, it's like first name, OFNJ. That's like the last name on Facebook, Feed OFNJ. But the whole focus is to actually promote information by means of art. Promotes, information of especially mass incarceration and, the new Jim Crow. But not only that, any social issue that's affecting your community, especially the Black community, but all communities, out there, but definitely the one that needs it the most.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Through using art, you know what I mean? Whether it be, you could, all kinds of art. You see, my wife sings, my son, he plays the drums. Music has its
poetry,
rap, all of that. But the point is that I started this workshop today where I'm doing a creative workshop with some high school students. I don't like to call them children because they're not. They're high school students.
Don't be bigger than us. Ninth grade, fuck out of here. Not 30.
Right. That's how they look though, bro. You got man, bro. But the whole focus is for them to actually use the method and the vehicle of art as a means to actually like express themselves and then express like they promoting what's going on in their community and speak against it.
So what are you doing about this workshop?
It's at the Trenton, it's at the satellite location of Trenton High over there by it's by Parkside and
West State?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm running. West State. Yeah, West State. There you go.
Yeah. Junior 3, bro.
Thank you. Yeah, Junior 3. Okay, yeah. I heard somebody else from Trent tell me that.
Yeah, that's
And so Junior 3, and I do it from 4 to 5, and it's an after-school program. You know what I mean? So it's kids that's involved in the after-school program that they have there, and I just take an hour out of their time and out of my time, and I have a workshop where they're gonna be learning how to do poetry. Learn how to, they all, rap, whatever. But just like how Drake can do what he's doing, just like how Kanye can do what he's doing, just like Future, you have the ability to do that. And the most beneficial is to do it through.
So, so you're doing this workshop. You got funded for it, or is it provided to you by voluntary?
I'm voluntary. This is actually the after-school program is through Mercer County Community College.
Okay.
And I'm working with a woman. Her name is Mr. Butler. I'm working with her. Nikhil Butler is her name. And I just started working with her. And basically, she's allowing me to teach these students. And they're actually going to be entering their pieces that they come up with by November 30th into a creative writing competition that actually has been open to the schools in Trent. All schools in Trent are actually open to it, but I don't think it's getting as much buzz as it should be.
That's why you hear the daily talk about
that's right.
That buzz.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying?
The cash prize is $200 for this competition. Okay. Whatever kid wins this competition, whoever y'all got, whoever, whatever his name is, I ain't gonna say, little, Maximus, or I don't want to say David, I always put it like Black David. It's like, why his name can't be Giovanni? Why his name can't be something else? You know what I mean? Carl, whatever. But, right. But the point is that the grand prize is $200. I believe they also have prizes for second place and third place, and it's going to culminate in them performing it at an event toward the end of the year. So,
big up to you, man. So you from a whole other state, a whole other city.
Right.
I'm saying bringing this type of opportunities to our town. I'm saying to Trent, New Jersey. We definitely appreciate that.
Well, y'all took me in when I came from PK. You know what I mean? I mean, when I first came, I was living in Dolly Home.
Word?
That's where I was.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that's
the piece.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And it was cool. You know what I'm saying? It was rough sometimes. Ain't no fun.
So you probably been to a couple of the Oral Night events then.
Yes. And absolutely.
This year, and what's crazy is that I've been going there for like the last 3 years. And this one that just passed was probably the best one I've been to and the worst. Because they started expanding it. They had they had a party where they had a listening party with the headphones. Like they had they had all that. Like the exhibits were amazing.
Yes.
But then of course, we had the incident, the first mass shooting in Trent. Right. That's kind of the thing.
That's bullshit. That's not the first mass shooting in Trent, but that's how they categorize it because of the situation. I mean, but go ahead, bro.
No, I was
actually there.
I was there too. That's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying. That's kind of like
was you there with your family or?
So this is what I was there doing. Now this is what I do. When I'm talking to you guys about, with everything with the kids and everything, I kind of do that in the activism route and also artistic route. But this is actually the reason why I'm even in Trenton. When I went to Stony Brook University up in Long Island. Right. And in my third year, I actually had a friend that got real knowledgeable just about life, and especially she started saying, "Hey, come, I'm having a Bible study, I'm having a scripture study." So I went through. I was like, "All right, I was never anybody to turn down a scripture study." And long story short, she really went straight from the book. I don't know if you ever had any religious backgrounds, but when I was growing up, most people that talked about God even said, like my mama said, you know what I mean, or they said, "Oh, your pastor said," but I had nobody just boom, crack open the scripture, just like going from this book to this scripture, to this scripture, to that scripture. And the word of God really talked to me to the point where I was like, yo, I gotta change. Like you saying, like with your uncle, you know what I'm saying? When you started evaluating yourself, like, yo, like, I didn't even know this was in the word of God. I gotta change. So what happened was that I asked her, where you learned all of this? Because like 2 months ago, you definitely wasn't like this. And she said that she was going to a church that was teaching her these scriptures, and it was in Trenton. So I was like, "You going to Jersey for church?" But she said, "Yo, you travel far for quality," and she was right. Cause I had a page just full of scriptures from the top to the bottom. You never seen nothing like this. So long story short, I started coming to it. We found out later. I found out it was Ewing. I didn't know. It was in Ewing. That's where you met my friend Bruce. Yeah. He's actually my pastor.
Bruce Stevens, right?
Bruce Harvey.
Bruce Harvey. I didn't call him Stevens.
That's like the same thing. Always giving somebody a new name.
I don't know. I called Bruce Stevens like 6 times.
I was in the interview.
Yo, I can't. I don't know why. He looked like a Stevens. He looked like a Stevens. Bruce Harvey.
That was the church was on Parkside, right?
It's on Somerset and Browning. So it's on Somerset by Somerset and Browning. It's like
Okay.
past. I think there's another congregation called St. John's.
Yeah.
It's past that. It's by Somerset and Browning. But the church, truth be known, is really like the people.
Right,
A lot of
course.
people, and
Of course.
that's why, like, obviously when you saw my old person and everything, it's just like your uncle. He had to come to a point where he understood what he was willing to do onto his higher power. You know what I mean? That's why, like, I don't never take no offense. You know what I mean? Where how other people are, because I know that you got to come to your terms.
Yeah, exactly.
Your terms. But my point in saying all of that
Faith is faith. I mean, religion is, you got different religions, but it's all the same faith.
Well, you got
It's all about walking that righteous path.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
So my point basically was that I started coming there, and when I started coming there, I decided to come, commit myself, a life change, got baptized, filled with God's Spirit, and in the name of Jesus Christ.
can I just go before you robbing niggas or something, man?
Huh? Nah. I was robbing myself, jacking myself. But the point now is that
Jacking people now.
well, that's the dude now. But basically now, once I got to a certain point, I was like, you know what? I really want to be able to give myself fully, you know what I mean, to where I'm learning the word. So I decided, you know what? I want to move the train. And I made the move. That's how I ended up going, and I got an apartment in Dolly Homes. And I was living in Dolly Homes, in the projects. Now, mind you,
what year was this when you moved to Dolly Homes?
this was 2011. Mind you, now me personally, I come from a middle class background because my parents, they both came from Jamaica. They both immigrants, Right. So they're both, what Jamaica, you know what I mean? Like just boom, like that.
They got accents.
But so when they came here, they just like, people who come from different countries, their mindset is like
Different,
money.
Right.
Not a bad thing, you understand?
They want a better way of life.
Because they came from, I'm talking about when they went to
the
Jamaica.
ghettos in Jamaica and other countries is way
different.
Way different. And they say
It's still hard shit though.
Yeah,
It's still hard shit.
exactly.
Sometimes I feel like
it's all about survival and how you adapt to your environment.
yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Because I'm pretty sure motherfuckers from here had to go there. They would learn. They would figure out some way to survive.
Yes.
And that's just crazy. That's the funny thing. Trent, if you grew up and you survived in Trent, there is not a hood in this country that scares you.
Yeah.
That's right.
Listen, I tell my
Do not.
I've been over, I love traveling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when I was younger, like you said, I was stuck in the city. I started training until I got like 18, 19. I had to do a program in New Brunswick. You know what I'm saying? That's how I got my first charge. So when I got up there, I got a little taste of traveling. You know what I mean? So on the train, New York, you know what I'm saying, North, all that. I'm like, this is just like being at home.
Right.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like being at home.
I was just in LA. I stayed in this little hotel. It was right off Hoover Street. Everybody was, it was Hoover. I'm like, no, it's just like Trent. But it's different as far as other places, because you go to other places, those cities be so big that you bump into people that you don't know that you just gonna walk by. Here you walk by people that you see all day.
Yeah. That's what I'm is that because like I said, you so compact. But like I said, let's go to New York. I love going to New York. I had a couple of friends in New York. You know, so I had to go to. I had an ex-girlfriend in Jamaica, Queens.
Yeah, I was living in Queens for
I just love going up there. You know, so that's how to go to the train, then hop on the bus, the sub. Yeah, so that was a long ass ride up there.
Yeah, you fall asleep with that train. Stop.
That shit is crazy.
Get to because I didn't want to cut off what you had asked me though. I got involved. I'm in the church. I'm still in the church.
Right,
I've grown and so on and so forth. But what we do
in the church now, the boys are robbing.
what we do, my cousin used to. What we do that a lot of places don't do is that we go out and we outreach in terms of the scriptures call us soul winning. You know, some people say evangelizing. Jesus, you just said, go be fishers of men. Go out and tell people about it so that they can get back to your community. That's what Jesus Christ was all about. Mind you, he ain't no white man with no long hair and blue eyes. Let me just say that. Okay?
I'm sure he wasn't.
He wasn't.
Coming from where he came from.
He's from, mind you, Jesus, he actually lived in Egypt. People don't even know that. Jesus was born in Israel, he lived in Egypt, and he went back to Nazareth. So, you know, there's a lot that people don't know about.
Because they don't do the research.
They don't do the research, exactly. And my point in saying all of that is that because we go out repeatedly, we go out and we talk to people about God, we give back to the community where we're from. Because Bruce, he's actually born and raised from Trenton. So that's why he's like Junior 3. That's what you, oh, okay, Junior 3. You know what I mean? But the point is that we were at Auto Night, man. We were at Auto Night, and we had some shirts with God's scripture on it, and we were giving back to the community in that way. Because I have a
So you actually did with the shooting when it started happening?
We left at 2:15 in the morning. Because we go out and we talk about God's word at any time, because death comes at all any time. So why are we afraid, you know, oh, we just want to do on Sunday? That's not what Jesus did. Jesus went out. Jesus preached the word at night. You know what I mean? So the thing about it is that that's exactly because Jesus Christ is our example. The one from the scriptures, not the one they made up. That's I gotta keep it because you know it's like so much. So but the point is that we were out there, we left at like 2:15. And by the time, you know, probably like the next day, my wife, she sent me a text. She basically like, babe, like, you know, God shielded y'all. Because at 2:30, it broke out. And we were literally in that, the building, because they had like a Mothers Against Guns. It was so ironic. They had a Mothers Against Guns, like stand right there.
See, now this go back to our beginning of our conversation where we saying, jail don't rehabilitate anyone. So when the gentleman that got killed was a convict, just came home this past February. Mind you, he was locked up for 17, 18 years. He got locked up, he was 17 years old. Came home with the same mentality. You know what I'm saying? So then we go back to this conversation where the Jim Crow law and all that, you know what I'm saying, how they still keep our mentality the same.
Well, here's one of the things, and they speak about this a lot with prison reform, is that the way that these places are structured, the prison system, like a lot of people that are in there have mental issues. A lot of black men that are in there, they have mental issues. It's not like, you know, this whole stigma, like, oh, you're crazy, you're crazy. Everybody has times where they're going through it, even in their mind. And these people have been traumatized. You don't know. I mean, think about it. If you grow up from 5 years old, you seeing your dad get shot in the head. You seeing your mom get raped by the uncle. You know, you got molested. How you gonna react when somebody says something that you don't like? You gonna react like somebody who never had those experiences? Okay. So it's because that's what you were produced from your environment. So these people need to be mentally rehabilitated in terms of somebody needs to put in the money and take the time to actually work with these individuals to make them productive.
That's not happening.
I was reading something where in Norway, now this ain't in America, right? In Norway, in I think it's the Netherlands or one of them, Sweden, one of them, where they have like the lowest recidivism rate, which is the rate at which people like go out of the prison and come back in.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That whole like
revolving door. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, the revolving door. They have the lowest, and what they do is that their whole motto is basically like they want you like out. That's their whole motto. Like they want you out for good.
You can't be a productive individual. You know what I'm saying? If you go to prison, come back and do the same shit again, like they're only doing is causing more mass confusion and destruction. And unfortunately, that's what this country has been built on. You know what I'm saying?
And capitalizing on the ills of people that are like us.
Because let me ask a question. Do you think, like we're talking about the black struggle?
Yes.
Do you think that the black struggle is the largest struggle? Like, I'm trying to compare. Like, who would you compare as far as the other minorities in America? Like our struggle compared to theirs. Like, do you think ours overwhelmingly is the most damaging struggle?
Because the thing about Black America, right? Black Americans, we have nowhere else to go. You know what I mean? A lot of these other foreigners, they can go back to their own country. You know what I'm saying? We have nowhere else to go, so we're going to have to deal with the struggle on a daily basis. Like, we can't run a hide with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are from other countries. Like, we are from Africa, originally, or Jamaica, whatever. Yeah. But those, I mean, Nigga, I'm born and raised in Detroit.
Yeah, let's be real. Nobody,
Yeah,
we don't go
yeah.
to Zimbabwe. You don't know nothing. You don't know what.
My family tree go back far as I know right now. Anyway, it's probably enough for South Carolina.
Exactly.
So that's the part I can run.
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? And the same shit that's going on here is going on down there.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So our struggle is continuous. It's been continuous since, you know what I'm saying, from day one since we broke in slaves.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, as far as
you know
like,
what I mean?
because everybody, it's like everybody our age knows that there's a problem. Like everybody that's black knows there's a problem. You know, like you see it every day when we you turn your social media, you turn the news, black man gets killed by a cop. We know that's what happens.
Yeah.
It happens. We say that's fucked up. Fuck the cops.
Right.
Move on.
Right.
And it's kind of like it's become accepted. But like you said, we know that this is the only place we can go. So this is the rules and this is the game we got to play. When do we either make new rules or we fuck up the system? Like, when does that start?
Well, here's one thing that this is what I talked about in the workshop. Like what I'm doing. See, my mindset is one, in the interim of things changing, because they have changed. You know what I mean? Things have.
I mean, over the years,
I'm talking about like 50 years ago, different from now.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I got a little bit more.
Myself,
Like, boy, to me, I've had that happen to me. So you know that's cool, right? But in the interim, like, I'm not gonna like get killed off of like this whole like situation that's happening in America if I can help it. So what I do, like with this workshop that I'm doing with the kids, is I'm gonna educate you so you know your position, fully know your position, because you could hear like, oh, you black boy, they're against you, what you want. But once you start to learn like, oh, there's like actually laws that like if I get locked up for this reason, like pretty much I'm gonna be like this revolving door thing, and like for the next like 7 years or 10 years. Once you learn that, pretty much, you know, that can serve as like an inhibitor that when you're out with your boys and he doing something stupid, you know what I mean?
Right.
You're being a kid. It's unfortunate everybody can't be a kid like how other people can be kids. Like, a white kid being a kid is different than a black kid being a kid. You know what I mean? Playing with a BB gun and then the cops stop you versus, you know, if you're in a certain neighborhood and playing that same BB gun and the stopping is from the bullet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
The point is that once you learn about these like information that are not always accessible just from, you know, people not reading it. If you learn from your peer through a poem that he did, like, yo, you know, that was deep. Where you learned that? That to me can serve as like an inhibition when you're out on your daily walk and your daily whatever life, and can be, to me, the difference between life and death depending on how you behave. You know, because certain things I know, I behave differently when the cops come to me. I'm not that dude that's like, what's up, bro? What's up, bro? I'm hands on the steering wheel. Yes, sir. Yes, officer.
That's what I'm saying. It comes down to habits.
I'm gonna go for my registration. This is my government form. All right, thanks. Because of the situation that we in. Now, mind you, I understand, like, yeah, fight, you know what I'm saying? That there should be certain people that.
At the same time, you want to get out of that situation alive.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like
you can't fight.
Yeah, like, yeah. Don't you know, and it's like, then you next.
antagonize them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Kids, you gotta teach them that you can de-escalate or escalate a situation based off how you talk.
Yes.
I think a lot of kids don't understand that you might not have done nothing wrong. But if you're, by the way you communicate, especially even if the cop being a dickhead, he still is in a position of authority.
Exactly.
So if you feel as though you're trying to, you know, disobey his authority, you're giving him cause to treat you a certain way. Like the story that they, and, you know, it's clickbait, of course, but it was a story where they had this little girl, she was a young girl, and they was like, little girl gets hit by a cop, whatever. But then somebody in the comments is basically breaking it down that it's not him hitting her. The kid was actually fighting the cop, and he was actually trying to restrain her. Which you might say, why would we have to restrain the kid, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, I have a daughter, and she's 8. If for any reason she has to come in contact with the police, my thing is, look, no matter what you think happened, all you got to do is basically do what they say and get to a position where you got to call me.
Exactly.
It's not a situation where you can argue because you can't win an argument with a cop.
Especially if you're a child. For what, you're a child. You're arguing with an adult.
Right. That's old school. Just keep it.
And I feel like if you automatically want to go to racist, this is racist. You're being racist.
Right. You don't even got to bring that up. And when you don't got to bring it up, like, and here's another thing too. It's like, okay, you get into these situations, you know, unfortunately, because of the position that a lot of black people are in, we don't have the financial means to fight it the legal way all the time. You understand?
That's an example because, once again, my first charge, you know what I mean? If I had a proper representation, I would beat it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
and the system is set up like that too.
Yeah, then I had a fake ass public defender end up copping out to some bullshit, and that's why
they work together in that.
Exactly. That's how they get you too, because they come to you. Well, look, you want to do this, that, and the third, and we offer you this. But as soon as you cop out to that felony, it's stuck to you. Now they got you for the rest of your life.
That's the information that I'm talking about that people need to know, because
it's a felony now. So now they got you. You go out, you finally do get home from jail. You know what I mean? You got to try to find a job. You got to fill out the application. I'm saying, or trying to get to school or anything. Like they look at all that. Try to get a loan. I'm saying anything that deals with their world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a system. You gotta stay out of the system. That's what I'm saying. Like,
but at the same time, it was set up for us. It was designed for us to be there constantly. That's just designed like that. So I'm saying they couldn't. Okay, we abolished slavery, but now we got imprisonment.
Right.
America got the most prisons in any country in the fucking world.
Oh yeah,
fucking world.
25% of the prison population and only 5% of the world's population. That's the stats.
That's the stats. That's crazy. Like how the fuck this country only America 200-300 years old?
It's only like about 1770. Yeah, about 200-300 years old.
You know what I mean? And the most prisons in any country in the world. And on top of that, there are less people. America only has probably 300 million.
But it's a business, and this is what we was talking about before when I was saying to you guys about the 13th Amendment, and how in the 13th Amendment, it pretty much was saying that, and you actually did say, yes, it was the amendment that freed slaves, literally saying the 13th Amendment, slavery is no longer allowed. Then it says it has a clause, except in the case of, in terms of like involuntary servitude, that's what the language would kind of be, except in the case of those who were convicted, of the crime, like except in the case of serving for a convicted crime. Other than that, then now it's abolished. So what that was, and I was talking to you about it, just using like something that's hot topic, Kanye West,
right.
Meeting with the president, because I know there's a lot of over that. But crazy. I will say he's very eccentric. I'm just going to put it like that. You know what I'm saying? But I will say this, that he mentioned something in there. He said the 13th Amendment being a trap door. And even if you look at it poetically, it's true. It's just like we freed y'all, but just in case, you know what I mean? Just let me I mean that if you get convicted, then you're gonna be locked up. By the way, we make the laws.
Exactly.
You understand? So he was saying, even in that, he was saying how or it was a crime for some people to read. I don't know how accurate he was at that time. If it was a crime, it may have been. But if it was a crime for the black person to read, and it was able to read the 13th Amendment and say something about it, and then you get locked up. It's like, what? Like the point is that is actually being used now in this very day and age, where you have the prison system that is capitalizing immensely off of the labor force of this huge mass population of black people and Latino people, but mainly black men. And then you have the black women and and everything else, all the other cultures. But the point that I'm talking about black is, that's where we're talking about with our community, that they're being used to supply 4 cents an hour of labor, basically free labor for all these big companies.
Imagine working for 4 cents an hour.
And I'll name. Am I able to name the companies on this medium? Oh, okay. Because Starbucks is one.
We got no fucking sponsors right now.
Take
the money from us.
So check this. Starbucks is one of them. McDonald's is one of them. You can do your research. Look at all the companies that are, doing, the products, convict leasing, pretty much. Look at it. But McDonald's, Starbucks, Walmart, these big name Target, these big name companies that they benefit. I mean, come on, think about it from a business standpoint. If we just step outside of the cultural, racial, if you're a businessman and okay, I got this product that I want to push. Now, either I'm gonna move overseas, and get that labor. They ain't got no labor laws, so I just go to China and they could work in like 50 hours, in a day. Right, and they sleep for an hour and come back and work another 50 hours. I don't got to worry about nobody crying, right? Or I come into America and they got all these labor laws. I got to pay workers' comp and I got to pay for benefits so that if you cut your hand off, you can go to the doctor and it costs so much money for each person. Or I could actually go and get into the prison labor where now it's home based. And now, you know, I'm paying 4 cents an hour. And plus, these people, they speak my language, and I'm not going through no middleman except the, you know, the federal government. And the local government's giving me tax break anyway on it, anyway, for each prisoner
that's what I was
saying.
saying. That's where my point was coming from, because, like, as far as the business aspect, it's capitalism.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of like, yeah, of course we know that it is targeted toward minorities. Like, I don't like trying to say everything is against black people, because at the end of the day, a lot of you talk to a black man, you tell them that shit, they're gonna sit there and say, "Well, I already know that." Well, if you already know that, then how you gonna blame them?
Right.
It's kind of like we can't keep blaming the white man when we know that, like we live in, like Trey, we live here. We know that there's a crime issue. You know, there's a drug. Just today, the feds just snatched up 27 people on a heroin ring. That you can't blame white people for that. No. At the end of the day, like, we're the ones that are selling in our community, knowing the damage you do, and still doing it while also fighting amongst each other. And at the end of the day, okay, if you're going to sell drugs because you're broke and you ain't got nothing else to do, I don't judge people for that. Like, you got to do what you got to do in this world. Like, in your life, you got to do what you got to do. But at the same time, you got to take responsibility. So I feel like black people don't take enough responsibility for a lot of the situation. Like, all right, we know that the prison system is aimed at locking all of us up. Like, we walk out this door and we walk outside and it's cops outside, they're going to question us and find something to do. We know that. Now it's up to us to have like, we got warrants. We can't blame them. Like, I mean, we didn't go to court to pay the warrants, then who's to blame? Right. So my thing is, I like to look at things as far as, like, in my life, I put responsibility on myself to stay out of trouble. I put responsibility, like, I tell my daughter, she go to school and if she gets in trouble and she's trying to tell me that, well, this person, no, what did you do? Like, you knew what you were supposed to do and you didn't do that. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, like, the laws might be fucked up, but
you know right from wrong.
The laws are the law. Like, at the end of the day, like you said, we got to change the laws. And like you were talking about Kanye.
But you also got to have examples too. And when you say, you know, everybody, I don't think everybody does know right from wrong because of the home that they came from. Like, for example, my sons, I'm married, you know, me and my wife, it's between me and my wife, we have our 3 boys, and I come home to my wife and my sons every night. I come home to my family. That is not the case for many homes in the black community. And the man in the home, I'm telling you now, it makes a difference. It makes a big difference. I'm not taking no shots at our strong women because y'all from strong women to hold it down, but it makes a difference with design.
And that's another thing. Like, there's a lot of dudes that out here having kids with multiple families, and then they're still not even taking care of their responsibility. And like you said, that's a major thing because, I mean, at the end of the day, like, women that walk around, they'll take care of the family, but that's not enough.
And also, that's something else that we cannot teach y'all to be grown men. When it comes to certain things, we cannot. And that's just something that we can't. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard.
And I think it also takes away from your freedom to...
It takes away
to kind of...
From a woman being a woman.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like,
because you have to be the mom and the dad in the house. And I
understand side, because you got a full family, you know, a father, a mother, and a child. You got, you know, people think of the father is that authority figure.
Yes.
I'm saying the mother's a nurturer.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it takes away from that whole equation. She got to play both roles.
Dad's a security blanket. You know,
also at the same time,
we hungry. Dad, what we gonna eat tonight?
Exactly.
We're supposed to be that.
He's a provider at the same time.
Mom, I fell. I need a Band-Aid.
That's what I mean? Like that nurse.
That's the roles, but they're not
those
there.
roles is not there. That's also plays a part in this motherfucking all this this agenda shit. You know, like this shit is fucking me up, but it does.
Right.
You know what I mean? A young man being raised, you know, in a house full of women, like I said, but he's saying what she does all the time on a regular.
It's not teaching him how to be a man.
And that's the kid grow up resenting the dad like my dad ain't shit. Like, that thing.
Because we can give y'all the tools to teach y'all to love because we're the nurturers and that side of you. But your dad is supposed to teach you that manly side of you, that heart, all of that. And that's how they're supposed to be.
So I think it definitely comes down to a lot of it with everything. That's why I'm like, put it like this, like I'm not I'm not the kind of person where I'm like, at this point anyway, gonna go, to Washington D.C. and talk to all of the.
So, are you over politics? Are you gonna be for mayor one of these days, like 10, 15 years? I see it in your future though.
The word of God says, "Judge nothing before the time," right? So I don't know. But my point is, this is my point. This is my point.
Giovanni for mayor, y'all.
Matter of fact, we vote Tuesday, so please vote.
Yes.
A lot of people think that these elections don't matter, but these are the elections that put people in the House of Representatives that put the pressure on Trump. Like, y'all want Trump out of there, but if we don't vote, Trump keeps his people in, who are going to keep them in there. Like, y'all want him to get, like, at the end of the day, y'all got to realize that. I mean, I don't like the system. I don't like the government. I'm not for it. I think it's very fucked up.
But you got to play this game.
It's a game that we got. And at the end of the day, y'all want him to get impeached. For him to get impeached, and the votes have to be made. And if the House of Representatives and Congress are all Republicans, they're not going to pass it. So you need to vote to put people in there to put the pressure to get him out of here. Just like how when Obama was in there, the Republicans got all their people in there and they put all that pressure on Obama. It has to go reverse. It has to be the same thing.
Let me ask you a question. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
What happens when you get a felon?
I mean, I can't vote.
That's my point.
Yeah, they stop you from voting, but
that's my. No, I'm saying for the people.
But that's a new law though.
Yeah, there's a way around that.
There's a new law because, like I said, I am a convicted felon. Yes. My conviction was back in '96. Yes, sir. So the law did change that thing within the last millennium. If you're a convicted felon, you cannot vote for so many amount of years.
Okay.
So
that's good information.
Right. So many amount of years, you can't vote for like 5 to 10 years, some bullshit like that. Or actually, if you're on probation or parole, you can't vote. That's what it is. So long as you're on probation or parole, you can't vote. As soon as you come off of that status, you are legal to vote again once you come off that status.
So then I say for the ones who can't vote, push the people who can vote.
Exactly.
That's my whole thing. Like,
I know we talked a lot about politics and all that. I'm saying, I know we want to disregard your fans and this.
No. We ain't even got to touch that because this was all political. This was something that everybody knew. This is positive. We gonna stay on the right track. However, I got the ratchet for y'all next week. I got it for y'all next week.
Yeah. It's entertainment shit. I'm saying, like crazy shit.
But this is entertainment as well. You have to listen. This is something that's an eye opener, and that's why something that I feel like this is something important that everybody needs to know. People,
if you're listening, just take away the message that at the end of the day, we all know what we're supposed to do, but we're at a point in time when things have to be done. Like activism needs more action. It needs more active.
Because we all got a lot of fans out there. I'm doing this out there. Like I'm 42. And everybody else in this room is at least 10 years younger than me. You know what I mean? So this is the next generation coming up. You know what I mean? So these are future leaders right here, y'all.
And even your kids, like I know a lot of us we all have kids, they all growing up. We know they all got cell phones, they're on YouTube watching videos of kids playing with whatever. But put them in front of videos where they're actually learning what world they're really living in. Because at the end of the day, the world that we grew up in is not that world no more. In 4 more years, it's not going to be the world as is now.
Exactly.
So the world is spinning fast, and things are changing every day.
Pay attention, man.
You gotta pay attention. We can't just
because like I'm listening to a lot of Drink Champ interviews, podcast with Nori, and he had Akon on there. You know what I'm saying? And he was just talking about the process. Like for example, music, for example. You know what I'm saying? Went from 8 tracks to vinyl to tape to CD, CDs now digital.
Yeah.
Same thing with currency. You know what I'm saying? First it was trade. You know what I'm saying? You got crops. I got a cow. Let's trade.
Barters,
you know what I mean? And then they found out some metal or type of object that has some kind of value.
Yeah.
Now you use that to purchase. You know what I'm saying? They purchased it. Then from there, went to cash money. If you cash money down, from there with credit cards. Next thing is going to be digital. That's why everybody get to that Bitcoin shit. I mean, y'all gotta pay attention, man. Cash App, all that. All this shit is digital. This shit is moving fast. Y'all motherfuckers need to be lost. I mean, y'all need to pay attention. You know what I mean? But we won't let nobody, you know what I'm saying? We won't let y'all let that shit marinate. You got a paper in your hand. It must be a poem.
Oh, no, it's not. I mean,
you gotta do it.
Yeah, you have to do it. I got
a request. The one that you did at the Poetry Cafe the other day?
I did 3. No, I did 2.
You did 2.
Yeah, which one? The second one, the one about like talking about addiction. Is that one?
What's the other one?
The other one was talking about
I fucked with both.
Yeah, there was one that was talking about like saying like Tar Baby.
Let's rock.
All right, okay.
Let's rock.
All right. So I'm gonna just do it from here.
Yeah, it's an exclusive.
Tar Baby. And maybe the term Tar Baby was a sort of prophetic proclamation. Blueprint for a black nation. Some think it a racial slur, but definition defines it a situation so extremely thick and sticky, it gets more aggravating the more you engage it. Now that's heavy. Because this infatuation that we got with pavements is bad. I mean, Papa was a Rolling Stone, but before those roads, every Jack learned it from his dad. And they get mad, them girls. You never could stick with one. Mama subtly supporting in hushed tones, reporting to her girl child, I just can't with my son. But to her, this very same thing was done by his father indeed. Tell me, when was it that we chose as rite of passage our male's promiscuity? Tell me. Let me know exactly when it was that we did so I can go back and dialogue about the damage it did. So I could speak about window panes and condemned frames that have more structure than our homes. So I could speak about womanizing ways, praised when displayed in our boys that would very soon become grown, so I could speak about bloodshot eyes and tear ducts, dried lies, locked doors, and the stench of treason in our sheets. So I could speak about deadbeats, a rhythmic pattern perpetually looping its vibration into generations of our men who were once ordained to be husbands. Strong defense from which his whole clan find defense. Firm embrace, strong yet gentle hand slowly strokes her face, a man in whom wife could depend. A father to their children. None of her girls closer, no, he's her best friend. In their intimacies, you penned realities. There's no normality, no sensualistic air that they breathe. Knees flushed with sheets, drenched in sweat, her screen saturate. His body gleams in this matrimonial devotion from truly committed men. Here, I've given them a means to an end. I let them know that it exists. I let them know that such male specimens can only be grown in the culture, conscious that the intangible is the means by which the tangible consists, that the man's greatest influence is beyond what eyes can see, that the man's best representation can only be found in his subjugation to the greatest and the highest authority.
Yeah, that shit is dope as fuck.
Thank you.
Giovanni Williams. Let the people know where they can find you at, man, on the social medias.
Yeah, so Giovanni Williams on Facebook. You see me, a guy looking like me that has a camera in his like that's me. That's it. I stand with some grass. And on IG, it's Gio's Words. So GIOSWORDS on IG. And also the page that I'm going to be putting up content about what I'm doing with the high school kids at Junior 3. I did that right? It's Feed, FEED of NJ. So that's on Facebook, and also we have on the IG, and on the IG it's the Feed NJ. So THEFEED NJ, the Feed NJ. Okay. All right. So that's where you can find me on all my content and everything that I'm doing. And I just wanted to shout out before I
go ahead.
Thank you.
It's back and front. You see it.
So I just want to first of all, I host Papa Poetry events which we met at. The last one that was Papa Poetry. We do it at different venues. So this
the one that we did at the library.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Oh, we met before that.
Yeah, we met at James' spot. Even before that, we met at when he had the the Divine Poetry Night Out
I
in
think
the summer.
Summertime.
Yeah.
You might know the crazy thing about it. You might bump each other back before then because you said you moved into Dallas in 2011.
Yes.
I was living there for like I was living in Dallas until 2000 in 2014.
We definitely would have had met.
Yeah,
because I used to walk around that whole community and just do what I was telling you, we was doing that all night.
So you definitely probably did back then. So, but continue on.
So
small motherfucking word, but okay.
So basically, the Pop-Up Poetry is every third Thursday of the month. So October the 15th, we're gonna have another Pop-Up Poetry. It's gonna be at the Big Easy. So it's at the Big Easy, and I'll put up information on my
For those who don't Easy, that's 120 South Orange Street, Trenton, New Jersey. Ulabadas spot. You know what I mean, across the that used to be at the old Maxine, moved across the street. 120 South Orange Street, Big Easy.
And it's going to be on October the 15th. It's open mics.
October 15th, November.
Thank you. November 15th. Thank you. See,
I caught it at first, but I was just going to let it keep because I'm like, wait, it's the 26th, it's the 25th, right?
So it's November the 15th, and it's going to be starting at 5:30. So that's going to be a Pop-Up Poetry.
That's a free event as well?
Free event. That's a free event. It's put on with Latasha Williams. She's the chair of the African American Cultural Collaborative of Mercer County.
Yeah, we got that on the show too. Reach out to her for us. Let her know when we get on the show.
Okay.
I probably see her at the event, but definitely get her on the show as well. So.
And then shout out to Todd Evans, who has helped me host the poetry events. So that's something that he's giving me a good example. Our next feature is going to be Malik Ognetter, and he's a powerful poet. So I'm just looking forward to seeing him do his thing on that day. And other than that, I think that was pretty much it. Shout out also to Patrick Hall, who is, by the way, the feed, the program that I do, it all actually started from the campaign, the M. Jim Crow. That group that they pretty much focus on, promoting information about that and dealing with, trying to get laws, all of that whole situation.
Make sure you keep giving us that information. These kids, our kids need it, we need it. So, you know what I'm saying, we need to empower ourselves because we're constantly going to be lost without information. You know what I'm saying? Knowledge is power, knowledge is key. You know what I mean? So, y'all do your research constantly.
Shout out to Bruce Harvey.
Shout out to
Bruce Harvey.
That's
right, man.
You got it, man. Bruce Harvey.
I'm shouting out everybody who loves us. We love y'all. That's just all of our fans. We love y'all.
So you want to talk about, comment, please. Let us know what you want to hear. So
yes, comment, inboxes. I'm saying, your boy Judge, Ace, Lady Kid. As always, big shout out to our sponsor. My man, Blessed Child, Stressed Out Clothing. You know what I'm saying? He's the one that.
You really got to talk to him about getting like some shirts or something.
I talked to him like a week ago. He said he got us, but I got.
Yeah, you know what I mean? With black people be like, I got you.
Yeah, exactly. So I got to talk to him again. Real quick, I got a lot of stuff going on this weekend. At Champs, we got the God, my mind is real freaking blank.
You got just talk about it in the car.
Paper like mine.
That's why I'm in the fifth zone. Got the fifth zone right here. You know what I mean? Tomorrow, Saturday at Champs is the Soul. That's live right there. That's
Watch us. Look at that.
Yo, I had it all in my head. It's just, that poem is so deep, bro. It fucks me up. I love poetry. Like, actually, I was a writer myself.
Yeah, you gotta come through you already came through the lesson, but it's open mic. Like everybody,
I just like to enjoy the show. So this Saturday, Soul Exchange at Champs. You know what I'm saying, from 9 until open mic. I'm saying you're more than welcome to come. Okay. I'm saying I'll send you an invite.
Yes.
Food will be there. Shout out to my man Rasheen, guest performance there that night. $5 cover on that. You know what I'm saying? That's at Champs, Soul Exchange, open mic. You know what I mean? That's Saturday from 9 until. And then that's actually hosted by my man Billy the Kid. Shout out to Billy the Kid. That's my man right there. You know what I mean? And then Sunday we have a special fundraising event for breast cancer awareness. Shout out to Georgette Brooks. She's a breast cancer survivor, and actually she's going through the process now. So we're having a fundraiser event at Over Arts Pack, the theater in Bordentown, where I do my comedy show at. I'm saying that's gonna be on Sunday from 6 to 8. I'm saying all the stuff will be on my Facebook. I'll let y'all know about everything. Just keep following me. But big thing next Saturday, November 3rd is going down. You know what I'm saying? Ticket My Funny Bone comedy show. My man Top Flight headline. You know what I'm saying? Y'all need to be in the building for that. It's gonna be dope as shit. You know what I'm saying? My man Will Wright, comedian, is featuring DK. You know what I'm saying? It's hosting. It's gonna be some dope shit. Food. It's gonna be dope. Everything will be fun. It's gonna be lit. That's next Saturday, November the 3rd, at the Over Art Pack Theater in Bordentown, right there by Mass Stories. Ticket My Funny Bone comedy show. Matter of fact, hopefully we'll have Top here next Thursday in the film. You know what I'm saying? His birthday next weekend, so we're doing a big show for him next weekend. So, man, listen, the town's gonna be lit as always. There's always plenty of positive stuff to do. You know what I mean? For the youth and for the adults. You know what I mean? Make sure y'all check my man Giovanni Williams. You know what I mean?
Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for coming through.
Yes, it's a pleasure.
So, we're about to sign off for the minute. Hey, you got anything, man? You last words, bro?
No real last words.
You've been missing a couple weeks, man.
Even vacation.
I'm about to say, I'm gonna say vacation.
When I grow up, I want to be just like
LA all day, Rams 7-0, going to the Super Bowl. That's it.
They'll play the Packers, right?
We play the Packers. That's gonna be.
They'll play at home, right?
Yeah, we 10-point spread.
You know, he couldn't wait to tell me that when he saw
was the last week or the week before, I think it was just playing Seattle. I said, yo, I got Seattle, bro. What's up? He said, I take that. I was like, think I'm fucking with that shit. I think I'm fucking with that. Amen.
Yeah, he was going hard for his team. As soon as he see me today, that's what the first, because you know this first time he's seen me since he's been back. He couldn't wait to tell me.
Because I told you in the preseason. I told you, like, yeah, you ain't all that. Only team undefeated.
Listen, if that boy Holmes had another year under his belt, they would beat the Patriots. If he had one more year under his belt, they would beat the Patriots.
I mean, we play Kansas City. We're gonna play them in Mexico. They on the hill.
Y'all play New England this year too or not?
Nah, we ain't playing New England this year. But if I want to play them in the Super Bowl. We owe them. We owe them. But I mean, next podcast we can get back to the sports. We wanted to be a little bit more serious today. I mean, activism is serious, so get involved in your communities. Like, that is something that's real. Like, we're talking about it, but we really do need more action, right? The one thing we don't have is a lot of leaders. You don't need Martin Luther King. You don't need Malcolm X. You can be your own leader. I mean, it could be your uncle. It could be your step-pop. Whoever in your family is doing the right thing and keeping somebody out of trouble, that's a leader. That's right. And we need more of those. Like, as far as black people, they're not going to give us leaders. They're not going to give us the direction. We got to direct ourselves. We got to be accountable for what we do. Every day is a new day. We ain't got to worry about what slavery that happened in the past. We got shit going on right now. So focus on today, focus on tomorrow. Be good to the people around you, and just leave it at that, and everything will work out.
Yeah, we signing off. Global Unlimited Podcast. See y'all next week, man.
Peace.
Yeah.
Peace.
We gotta get the music go out with, but fuck it, this is what it is.
All right, bro. I got you on Facebook. I was on your Facebook page. I'm gonna send you a friend request.
Yes,
I definitely gotta keep up with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I said, I be trying to find like little things to be involved